So a landmark Supreme Court opinion has been leaked. In this video, I want to talk about what impact that leak will have on another landmark case that we're currently waiting on, which deals with the Second Amendment context. So let's talk about this. But real quick before we jump into this video, if you think it's time for the Supreme Court to once again uphold our right to keep and bear arms, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Also, I want to give a shout out to one of the main supporters of this channel, which is USCCA. Through your membership, you get training, education, and self-defense liability protection. So if you carry a firearm, I highly recommend you take a look into USCCA, and I'll put a link to them down in the details section. Also, I want to mention that if you're not currently subscribed, please consider subscribing. One of my goals was to reach 300,000 subscribers before my 3-year anniversary here on YouTube, and that will be in early July. So we're getting kind of close. It might be a close call. I might not reach it, but it was one of my goals to try to reach that 300,000 subscriber goal. And if you guys would consider subscribing, that really would help. So no doubt by now, you've actually heard the news that the Supreme Court's opinion in the Dobbs case has now been leaked. The opinion by the Supreme Court will overturn the Supreme Court's prior precedent in Roe v. Wade and Casey. This decision apparently will return the power back to the states to decide for themselves what they want to do and how they want to handle this issue. Now, I'm not going to break down the draft opinion that's been leaked because this channel doesn't focus on that type of issue. It focuses primarily on the Second Amendment and issues involving the Second Amendment. I have my own moral, religious, and constitutional beliefs on the issue of abortion, but that's not what this video is going to be about. That's not what we're going to be talking about in this video. Instead, we're going to be talking about how this leaked opinion will no doubt have some impacts on a case that we're currently waiting for, which does deal with the Second Amendment. In that case is the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association v. Bruen case. For those of you not aware, New York State Rifle and Pistol Association is a challenge to the state of New York's concealed carry permit requirements. The state of New York requires a person to provide proper cause to be issued a permit to carry concealed. The issue is that the state does not consider self-defense a proper cause, and therefore on that justification alone, people have their permits denied. Essentially, a person has to distinguish themselves from the average ordinary person to be granted a permit to carry concealed. This case, New York State Rifle and Pistol Association, is very important, not only because it can do away with the whole may issue concealed permit licensing schemes, but also because it can include language that further restricts states from engaging in various Second Amendment violations. One big question with this New York State Rifle and Pistol Association case was how aggressive the Supreme Court was actually going to be. Many had concerns that the Supreme Court may limit their opinion in scope and only touch on a narrow set of issues that were presented in the case. Some hoped in contrast that the Supreme Court would include very strong language that would run the gambit against various Second Amendment violations that are engaged in by various states, the federal government, and would have just more inclusive, broad-reaching language and would not be so narrowly focused. Well, I think the leak of this recent Supreme Court opinion points to the fact that the Supreme Court will be more aggressive on this issue than we ever actually thought. Why do I say that? Well, if the Supreme Court was willing to dive into such a morally and politically charged issue like Roe v. Wade, and they were willing to overturn Supreme Court precedent, that means that they will likely be more aggressive than we thought on the Second Amendment issues. Now, one thing I want to note is that various Supreme Courts have overturned their own precedents before. This is not something that is new. However, it is a little bit more rare for the Supreme Court to overturn established precedent on very controversial hot topics like they did with Roe v. Wade. When it comes to Supreme Courts, there were historically some courts that were a little bit more aggressive and were called so-called activist courts. In contrast, some Supreme Courts historically were not very active and did not take up big issue topics and would never ever really think about overturning their own precedent. So there is this contrast in the kind of makeup of courts historically. The question was, what type of court was this one going to be? We wondered if they were going to tackle the big topics and the landmark cases and issue landmark decisions, or would they shy away from those big issues? Well, with this leak, we now know not only are they taking on the big issues, but they will be very aggressive in these controversial cases as well. They're not going to just kind of skirt the issues. With this leaked opinion, we now know that they were going to be very aggressive, and if they have to, they're going to overturn precedent of their own if they have to. That fact alone bodes really well for the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association decision. We know that Thomas or Amy Coney Barrett will write the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association decision. Likely Thomas will write it since he is the senior justice. It's highly unlikely that ACB as a junior justice will write the opinion if Thomas actually wanted it. And most agree that Thomas did want this opinion, so he is the one who wrote it. Why am I pointing to the fact that Thomas will likely write the Bruen decision? Well, Alito in the draft leak that came out took up the Roe v. Wade issue, something he has wanted to do for a very long time and has been very vocal about. Alito finally got the chance to write the opinion he has been waiting for a very long time, and he finally had the numbers on the court to issue the opinion. This Dobbs opinion, which was leaked, will be discussed in the history books and discussed in law schools for generations to come. And as a justice of the Supreme Court, that could be something that really puts a stamp on your career if you want it, and that is, I think, something Alito wanted to. In contrast, Thomas has been very vocal about another issue, which is the Second Amendment. He has berated other justices for not voting to take up 2A cases, and has also stated that courts have treated the Second Amendment as a second-class right. Thomas has just been waiting for the opportunity to issue the decision that he believes is correct. Now he has a case in front of him, a court makeup that is favorable, and a court makeup that is not afraid of issuing aggressive opinions. That all signals, in my mind, to an upcoming decision that will be more impactful than many of us ever thought. I now believe that the Bruen decision will have a broader Second Amendment impact and application than any of us really anticipated based on how aggressive the court was in this Dobbs case that was leaked. Beyond just issuing an aggressive opinion, this leak also further solidifies in my mind that there is no doubt that the Bruen decision will in fact be pro 2A. I think there really is no question about that anymore. Why do I say that? Well, if they could get 5 votes to overturn Roe and to deal with this controversial issue of abortion, I have no doubt that they could get 5 votes to overturn the New York's May issue licensing permit scheme. On the scale of controversy, I believe overturning Roe is a much harder vote gathering endeavor for the Supreme Court than striking down a May issue permit scheme. I'm not saying one issue is more important than the other. I'm just saying that on the scale of gathering votes in the Supreme Court, one would be much harder than the other. The harder one being a Roe vote and overturning Roe. But we saw based on this leak that they did get those votes. So if they could get the votes to overturn Roe, I have no doubt that they can get 5 votes to overturn New York's May issue scheme. The last major impact I think this leak will have on the upcoming Bruen decision is how the media will treat this optically. I think there are 2 possible outcomes. First, optically, the outcry could be lessened. I think so much attention right now is on this Roe v. Wade issue and the overturn of Roe that the Bruen decision might be lessened a little bit in the media conversation and might skate by a little bit more than it would have before. In this scenario, I think there will still be discussion surrounding Bruen and gun rights and concealed carry permitting and all that, but the discussion might be lessened a little bit optically, and you might not see the media hitting on it as hard as it would if this Roe v. Wade decision wasn't actually out there. Now, in my eyes, there is a different option. In contrast, the media may spin the Bruen decision up as another atrocity of the Supreme Court. The media might hold up the Dobbs decision that was leaked and will be likely released by then, and the Bruen decision as a 1-2 punch and just really hit on the fear surrounding what the Supreme Court is currently doing. They may then use both of these decisions as controversial issues of abortion and gun rights and use it as a way to mobilize voters and kind of get them active during the midterms and also mobilize the legislator to go after things like the filibuster and maybe even bring up the discussion of court packing once again. I think this leak also has further implications beyond just the decision itself. It also shows that people are willing to compromise and politicize the justice system just to try and get their way. If they don't get a decision that they want, they will pretty much just burn down the establishment that they see as unfair to get their way. It shows that even the Supreme Court could potentially be compromised by this type of activity, and this is something that we really didn't see would probably happen. There have been some forms of leaks in the past, but nothing ever that was a pre-decision leak that was trying to sway the way in which the justices were voting. So those are just my thoughts, but what do you all think? If you have any questions, go ahead and comment down below and I'll try to answer the best of my ability. Also, if you like this video and like support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm or fuel Al Gore's rhythm. It adds fuel to his jet and it signals to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos and in this type of 2A news. Again, I want to thank everybody who likes, comments, subscribes, who hits the notification bell, who shares these videos. You guys are directly impacting these videos, impacting this channel, and helping me to reach and educate more people than I could ever do on my own. So thank you so much for all of your support. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And never forget, this is built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.